I have a question for you. If I were to ask you, what is your self-image in regards to how much money you feel like you can comfortably make? What would you come up with? It's a pretty abstract thought or a pretty abstract question for most people. But did you know that your self-image determines and controls the degree of your manifestations? We easily manifest what we're currently manifesting or creating around us. We create situations, people's encounters, the amount of money we make, the opportunities we draw towards us, even the miracles towards us that we think are natural and normal. We create everything that we think is doable, natural, and normal for us. But did you know that you can expand your sense of what is natural and normal for you by diving in and up-leveling your self-image? See, we run around with a self-image usually constructed early on in our childhood, determined oftentimes by the feedback we got, for the better or worse, and based on that, we think we are who we are. If you got a lot of support, and I know people who did, they were told by their parents, you're awesome, no matter what you do, they build something that's so awesome. They grew up and they think they are awesome. Maybe some of the kids applied themselves and felt more daring, so they got a lot of support. Other children may have been more shy, needed more approval to feel that strong and build that self-identity of strength and still feel that way when they're grown up. We all need recognition and approval, but the less we got when we were young in our formative years, the more we actually need when we grow up. I mean, it doesn't get any better unless we become aware and start building that sense of I am beautiful, I'm worthy, I'm capable, step by step. And there are two ways of going about it. One is the hands-on exploring your limits and pushing your boundary as to what you think you can do. Apply yourself and set a goal, and then step by step achieve it. Setting goals expands our capacity of who we are. If I set a goal that I want to move into an XYZ kind of neighborhood, have a certain house, whatever it is, which usually are the normal wishes and dreams for most any human, it pushes the envelope not only of the I want to be like my Jones neighbors, but of who they can be, which is the reason why we continuously break the world records on speed, of running, of capacity, of everything. Have you noticed that as soon as records are broken by somebody on this planet, in some time to come, another person can break that record? And if you look over the history of 100 years, it's a dramatic curve of improvement. That's how we grow individually and collectively. So how you can apply that, a very easy step-by-step procedure is just set your goals, whatever they are, to be your next level of the new you. It will require for you to become a more shiny, powerful, vibrant, believing, trusting person. But we need to prove it to ourselves that we can. So set goals that are greater than you are and that you can achieve. I've seen hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people go through the transformation in my seminars over the last 35 years with the Living from Vision course that is now online, and work on setting goals that amplify who they are to themselves and to the world. The second ingredient is where you can directly affect your self-image is to move into the image of the person who can do, let's say, drastically bigger things. See, goal setting oftentimes is set like, okay, I want to, like I remember when I said my first 4 goals is like, I want to create a brochure in 5 weeks. It took me 5 weeks back then. Now it takes me a day or 2, and that's it. So what our goals back then were are now our easy to do steps, and that's how we grow. So it doesn't really matter what steps you choose. You don't have to be gigantic. But I want to ask you just right now to imagine depending on your income level, to pick something that is radically bigger. If you're used to making 10,000 a month, pick 50 or 100,000. If you're used to making 100,000 in a month, pick a million. Whatever it is, just for most people, it's enough to imagine being a millionaire to stretch the boundary of who they are, right? So, if you had multiple $1 million right now, multiple $1 million at your disposal, how would you feel? Actually, if you were to produce that and need to create that or somehow generate that, do you think you could? See, there are oftentimes these two questions that collide. People think, oh yeah, I could spend $1 million, no problem. That's not the question. The question is, do you think you could generate it, create it, have it, be it? And who would you become? And what would your thoughts be if that was your world? For most people, the sense of self-worth dramatically increases with money. Doesn't have to, shouldn't necessarily have an impact, but we see it as a reflection. So some people drastically feel like, I'm not that big, and I'm more like this. I really, or even how much love can you have in your life? People always tell me there are millions of dollars, a soulmate, really intimate relationships, a job where they're the boss and they have this and that, like run a retreat center, but they don't necessarily want to be the person who would do that. See, when you take positions like that, with it comes an expanse of who you are. You have to be able to supply that kind of energy to your dream. It doesn't just sit like digits in your bank account. It is a life that you live. It's a who you are. And what does it require of you? And you may say, I'm willing or I'm not willing to do that. And that is the answer. Usually we grow into situations. So if you picked, let's say, let me just give you an example, one that I know, where people come a lot to me and say, I want a retreat center. I say, have you thought what it takes? The people you care for, the presence it takes, the amount of dedication, the input, the daily tasks, the minuscule amounts of details you have to pay attention to, rather than just go off into the woods and meditate when you feel like it. Most people don't think about what it takes to be that person. So when I asked myself how on the scale, I got a phone call from people who were the PR person, people for Jean Houston. Jean Houston in America is a known figure. She used to be the consultant to the Clintons and a personal development person for them. And she had an outreach. She was there with Timothy Leary in the 70s. She was there with the presidents. And she had a demand put on her. Well, now these PR people are coming to me and they say, Ilona, great, we are looking for our new next one. And they said, how big do you want to be? And I'm like going, how big do I want to be? And they went on to explain. They said, look, we'll get the horses running and the cart will have to come with the horses. It means once the engine runs, you are like a commodity maybe to the PR engine, just in my personal experience. It's a little bit like that's when I made my fundamental choice. I said, you're right, asking me that question, I'm not going to hire you, sorry. I want to be XYZ, and I want to have a life. I want to have a love life. I want to be unified with my beloved husband of now 40 years. I want to have time to meditate. The dreams I picked, which was, have a retreat center, have a dolphin watch boat, have multi-millions of dollars in business that we generate around the world, because everything that you do does generate energy and money. That all takes time. And at times, I want to have time with my love, Dawn, and I want to have time in my meditation, and I want to have time with my family and friends got shrunk. And I'm like going, no, that horse is too fast for me. So let me slow it down. So the size of who we are, wanting to be and sustain, determines, and that's part of your self-image. What is it for you? Your self-image and your next goal. Pick a goal that makes you grow, And then I want to give you a couple of tips that make it possible. For example, if you want to become a millionaire, let's say, hang out with millionaires, multimillionaires. Be with them. Hear their thoughts. Pick the people that you like to be around. If you want to be around really well-known people, hang out with them. If you want to be a genius, a tinkering toy genius in the background, hang out with them. And maybe take a look with who naturally shows up in your life. Who do you hang out with? Who are your friends? Because they are what you consider good and normal. People hang out with their own kind. It happens. It just simply happens out of resonance. So who are you surrounding yourself with? Think of the 5 important people and then go like, okay, well, I guess that's a good reflection of what's important to me. Do you want to change it? If yes, start hanging with a few others that represent the goal that you want to achieve, and start changing your self-image one step at a time. In the Living from Vision course, you can join me in one entire segment out of the 5 segments that walks you through recreating your self-image and letting go of the old, but taking the nuggets and becoming the new you in regards to your new goals that are greater than you ever thought you could possibly create. Setting great goals require that you grow in your self-image, in your desire to be that new person. So today, I'd like you to join me in that decision. What do you want to be when you leave this planet? Who do you want to be? What nugget do you want to have developed, and what is utmost important? Because the qualities that you develop, for example, for me, running a retreat center as one of my sub-organizational things, or running retreats and seminars all over the world for 35 years, oodles of them, taught me how to manage people, how to be in a team. And I remember when I set the goal that I wanted to learn how to be in a team. It was number 4 of the Living from Vision course, the 4th segment. It took it from self-image to teamwork. And I will create another video on how you move your qualities and abilities and how it can take decades to become the new you if you really learn all the ins and outs. But your first step is to move into your new self-image and then live the dream of your choice and be an addition to yourself and the planet. Thank you for being here. Take a look at the Living from Vision course, and you can read about the segments that are being taught in the curriculum description down below. An easy payment plan of 2 payments, and you can join us as soon as you're ready to dream big. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.